Okay, so we always begin by putting our first name, last name, homeroom teacher, grade level, school name at the bottom of our paper. Then if you choose to do printmaking, which would be this, we are going to begin by picking an animal outline, and we're just going to do the outline of the animal. So I'm picking the mountain plover, and the way I'm going to trace it is I'm going to take my foam sheet and then lay my animal choice on top, and then I have a stick, not a pencil, and I'm going to follow the first directions, which say to trace the animal's silhouette onto the foam. That means I'm just tracing the outside of the animal, and I'm gently pressing. You can also do this freehand if you wanted to look at the picture and not trace on top. You can do that as well, that's fine with me. Otherwise, if you want it to look similar to this outline, and it's okay, I can feel that it's ripping the paper just a little bit, that's okay. I'm pressing down so that it's going into the foam, tracing the outline or silhouette of the animal that I chose. We will go back later and do all the details, but I am doing every part of the silhouette of the animal. So that means I'm going to go around the whole outside of the bird. Now you can also do, if you have something in the picture, like I have this right here, I'm going to do that as well. You don't have to. You can just add your background and details later. And this is about where the eye is, so I'm also going to do the eye. So when I pick it up, the second step is to retrace my lines. So you can probably see that the foam lines are, the lines in those foam are showing up, but now we're just going to go over it one more time so that it's nice and clear. And if you make a hole in the foam, that's okay. Just try not to press too hard. I'm just going back over all my lines so they're nice and deep, because the next step will be, let's look at the sheet. Now we're on number 4. Make 3 good prints with 1 color. Okay, so to begin the printing process, I have ink that I've picked out. I have a styrofoam tray, and I have a brayer. I also have plain pieces of white paper with initials and class code, or name and class code. I also have a paintbrush to scoop out the ink. And ink is very thick, it's different than paint. So I'm just going to put about the size of a quarter onto my styrofoam tray, closing up the ink so it doesn't dry out, putting the brush to the side. I'm going to begin rolling my brayer onto the ink in different directions, because the main thing I'm trying to do is cover the whole brayer with this orange ink. Okay, it makes a nice sticky sound. Now I'm ready to make 3 good prints, it said. So I'm going to cover my plover with my ink. I'm getting some more, because I saw it was running out. If you run out of ink on your paper or on your tray, just get some more, scoop some on with the paintbrush. I don't think I'm going to have enough ink on here to do 3 prints, but maybe I'll have enough to do 1, so I'm going to probably have to put some more ink onto my tray or use my brayer to get some more ink on there. And just complete that whole area. So now I'm taking one of my papers, I'm laying it right on top of that ink, and I can either use a dry brayer or my hand. You can also use the back of a spoon if those are out, but I really like using a dry brayer. Pressing and peeling that off. And there's my first print. looks like I need more ink, but I'm going to do that 2 more times, and that would be my first step for today. After you're done, you'll put it on the drying rack, and you would wash off this styrofoam with just plain water and a sponge. Okay, so this was the best of the 3 prints that I just made, and I think it turned out pretty well. I do have lots of orange. You can really see the plover. You can see it's facing the opposite direction than the one I traced, and that's because when you print, you peel it off, that's what happens. So now I'm on day 2. I'm going to put the original drawing back on top and try to line it up as best I could, peeking underneath. And then I'm going to add the details. So I'm going to take that same tool and I'm going to begin adding the next layer of details. So any little marks, doesn't have to be perfect, but close to, so we can still tell what animal it is. And this again is a mountain plover on the endangered list. And this bird has a lot of lines in its feathers and its wings. It looks like it's got a lot of markings on it, so I'm just doing some general areas. Definitely want to do the belly and this throat area, because that looks like it's pretty specific, and this area up on its head. So now that I've done that, I'm going to lift this off, and it says to cut out the silhouette of the animal. So I'm going to pause it and I'm going to show you what that means when I'm done. Okay, so I cut out my bird on the silhouette from the line that I drew last time. I did by accident cut this right here. It's not a big deal. It shouldn't be, at least. So I drew the designs first of the details, and then I cut out the whole silhouette. I didn't include that little stick at the bottom, which is okay with me. I also have a piece of scrap paper underneath my work, and I put a complementary color, which blue is complementary to orange. If you look at the color wheel, it's whatever color is opposite that color on the color wheel. So I'm really getting the ink on the brayer. I'm going to put that right on here, and I notice it's already getting into some of my lines, which is okay, because I'm just going to, that means I have a little too much ink on my brayer, and I'm going to go back, whoops, and I'm going to take my stick and kind of clean out some of those lines, which if you were at Hollymead before, you might remember doing this. It also will come off after a few times of me printing it. So I'm going to try that on the prints I did that just came out okay. So let me, before I do too much more here, I'm going to stick it now on top of my orange print that I had done from last time. My fingers are a little dirty, so I need to make sure that I either have a wipe nearby, and then I'm going to push it right on top of that last one. Okay, I'm going to lift that up. That came out pretty good. I'm going to try that again. So again, I'm going to make sure I have ink on there. Rolling some more ink onto my bird. I'll do it 2 more times, and then I'll show you which one came out best. Okay, so I think this is my best print out of the 3. I think it's turning out pretty well. And now I'm going to do the belly yellow. So I washed off my bird, and so you're just going to pick one area of your animal, and that's the only area you need now. So I'm still staying on those lines that I need. I'm just going to do the belly because that seemed like the best place. So I'm going to put yellow on this bird's belly. So the rest of the pieces I don't need, they're to the side. I still have my scrap paper from the last thing I did, so I'm just going to keep that underneath. I have yellow here, and I also have a small brayer because I'm just doing a small little area. So you should only need a small brayer, and I'm really getting that ink on my brayer till I hear that sticky sound. And then I'm going to put yellow ink on the correct side of this. So it should be, hopefully if I have this right, I'm going to flip the bird's belly over and it should fit right there. And now I have 3 different colors on my print. And I noticed that that came out okay, but not bright yellow enough. So I'm going to do that again until I come up with the best combination of colors. Okay, so now I have my 3 prints. This was the first one, and that's the second. And then I think this one came out the best because the background is nice and complete. When I'm done, I'm going to cut this out or just glue it right onto my Art to Me paper, which I had already filled out. And so if this was your Art to Me paper, you would need to make sure that it says top at the top if you did it the same as me. And then I'm just going to glue it right down there on the middle of my paper. And then I'm done. If you want to sign the bottom corner, that would be the last thing to do, like an artist would.